Hey guys, this is Eric Weingartner with Weingartner Racing. Please, please, please watch this video all the way through. Don't skip to fast forward to stuff that you think you want to see, because what's going to end up happening is you're going to miss some vital information that you're going to end up asking in the comments that were already talked about in this video. So please, please watch this whole thing. And it's probably going to seem like I'm selling stuff, but I promise you there's also a technical part of this video. And that technical part is I'm going to show you the results from the dyno testing with the dual plane on the LS. And it's kind of shocking, especially the spacers. That's in this video. But I need to get through some other stuff that kind of seems silly, and I admit to that, because I'm not doing a video on Saturday because my son, we're going to Arkadelphia, Arkansas, because we have a campus visit for him to go to college. So I won't be around to do the video that I usually do on Saturday. So this one's got technical and the stuff I usually do on Saturday. So, but again, please, please, please watch the whole thing. So I'm gonna start off with just some of this stuff. One, next week on Wednesday and Thursday, I'm gonna be back on Dunsworth Dyno with the LS 408, 408 cubic inch engine. What I'm doing this time is I'm switching the heads from the ProMax large bore LS3s and putting on the ported Brodix BR3 heads. Now I mildly ported them, and I don't know how it's going to do. Looking at the flow numbers, I can say this: it's close to what others are, but at the peak, so like at 1 inch valve lift, which we're not running, it's great, and it doesn't fall off as much as the others do at the 700 valve lift number. I'm going to test that one with the Urson cam, because that's actually the package that goes together with the customer. But I'm also putting the Texas Stage 2 camshaft there, the Texas Speed Stage 2 camshaft. Then, this is the biggest one, and that's why this is here. Brian Tooley was nice enough to send me the AFR head. This is the AFR Mongoose head. This is their full CNC head. Now, this one's milled down to 64 cc as far as combustion chamber, so it's going to be pretty good. The Brodix BR3, even though it's slightly ported, I'm going to tell you it's probably going to be one of the worst ones, and not because of the port work or nothing like that. It's because it has the least compression, has the biggest chamber. This one will have not the smallest combustion chamber of all the heads tested, but definitely one of the smaller ones. This AFR Mongoose, full CNC ported, I could tell you because I've flowed one of these before in my flow bench. Listen to me when I say this, and it's hard for me to say this because I'm a cylinder head porter. Nothing has beat this AFR LS3 head on my flow bench. Nothing, not from Frankenstein, Mast, anything you're thinking besides CID. I still haven't had those on here. Nothing has beat it, especially in the 4, 5, and 6 range. At the very peak, like at 1 inch, some heads have, but nothing else. I mean, this is the best flowing LS3 head I have had, even compared to my ported stuff. Now again, peak numbers, like if I go 6, 7, 8, it's some of the ported ones obviously are better, especially mine and Frankenstein stuff. But the 400 and 500 number, nobody's even close. And this thing is really good. So I am very anxious to test this on the dyno to see how that translates, because it's not always the case, as you guys might know, with those ProMax heads that I just got done testing or did the cam challenge with, because those flowed like 380 and it didn't outperform the heads that flowed 340. Now, the heads have already been tested on the LS3. So when these go on, by the way, I'm going to test again that Texas Speed camshaft, because that will be the same camshaft that I've used to test the other heads. What other heads have been tested? Stock 823 heads with a valve job. The AFR Enforcer LS3 heads. The ported set of 243 heads. Those have been tested. A set of ProMax small bore LS3 heads. ProMax large bore LS3 heads. And then, of course, the Brodix BR3 heads, and then this one. All those will have been tested with the same camshaft. But I'm also going to test this one, this AFR CNC Mongoose one, with other cams from the challenge. So Texas Speed's getting tested. Brian Tooley, since he was nice enough to send this, I'm going to test, hopefully, both of his camshafts. I want to test Joe Carroll's too. Not NK Performance just yet. Maybe, because I think I'm going to run out of time. I'm going to bring it, but you might say, why Joe Carroll's? Because I'm curious to see how it would be. NK Performance, the reason, and GPI, which both of these I probably should test on this. I'm most nervous about theirs as far as piston and valve, because they milled it off to get 64 cc's. I'm more nervous about the piston and valve. But if I check it and everything's fine, I'm gonna bring them with me. I'll test at least some of them. For sure Brian Tooley's and some of the others until I ran out of time. So it's really a time thing. I'm also gonna test the Super Victor versus Victor Jr. again. And then Charles Servito sent me this one intake to test. I'll test that one too. It's a single plane, it's like a Holly. And I'll test that. I'm also on the dual plane, I'm gonna test that again on the same set of heads, but I'm gonna put the Dominator on it because I haven't done the Dominator dual plane on the LS yet. I'm curious to see how that does. But this is why I said it's gonna seem a little silly. If you have already purchased the Cam Challenge dyno data, what's gonna happen is when I'm done dynoing, probably Thursday or Friday when I'm done, I'm gonna upload all that to that Google Drive. So if you've already purchased the Cam Challenge info, you don't have to purchase again. It's absolutely free. You'll just start seeing dyno sheets dropping in that. So you'll have to look and see what's in there. But all this stuff will end up appearing in there. Cost you nothing. You don't have to even re-download the link. You just click it again, all of it open up. It'll just have more pages, including flow numbers for this head, most likely, the measurements for this heads, and also, of course, the dyno numbers. So that will all be there. So if you already purchased it, it's there. Now, if you're like, I didn't know anything about this, how do I purchase this? Well, I'm going to show you the 2 ways to do it right now. This is the first way you can do it. Search for my name on YouTube, Eric Weingartner. You can click on a video. And I'm scrolling down here, but you can click on the video that has something with Cam Challenge. Oh, there's one. Click on it.
Jim Glover Dodge's massive credit card payoff event is going on now.
And it'll pull
Why
up a whole
continue
bunch
to
of
pay
stuff
20% or
like
more interest on your
this.
credit cards when we
And
can pay
there's the
off
link.
your
And you
balance with an
click on
auto
that,
loan starting at just
and
$3.
you will be taken to the online store that looks like this. And then you can purchase from there. And then you get all the stuff. This is option 2. You can go to my website, wengines.com. And on the home page, if you scroll down, you will see a link for the online store. See, it says seek results, not excuses. There's an online link. Click on that. And you're at my store, and there's a bunch of stuff in the store. And the first one you see there is a donation for the small block Ford. You could dyno for that challenge for that. And then there's a bunch of books. I marked them down. Channel membership, that's a good one, so you get all this stuff sent to you. Then there's a PDF bundle, which would have every single test I've done ever. That's $150. There's a small block Chevy Cam Challenge that we just passed by. You can look at that, and because that's a future one coming up. But if you keep scrolling all the way to the bottom, there's some dimple tests, other books to see. There's a 421 test that's already been done. You can purchase that book. But at the bottom, there's my Dragon Slayer, brand new product. And you click on that, and ooh, cool. That's my CNC Dragon Slayer. But if you keep scrolling, you'll see for a link to page 2, and you go to page 2, and this is what you see. Some more Dragon Slayer, more of my CNC heads. But at the very bottom, there's a link for the big block Chevy Cam Challenge where you can donate. Now, any of the challenges, you can just click on it and you can purchase that, and then I'll send you the link. Now, this is going to come off real silly, but if you notice when I went through there and I showed you my online store, there were 3 new things that have been added. One is the small block Ford Cam Challenge dyno donations. They're now available. So it runs in $20 increments. You can purchase more than one. But $20 is the minimum one. And what will happen is when you purchase that, I'm going to send you a link that's blank. So it'll be a Google Drive link, but there'll be nothing in it because we haven't done anything yet with it. As I start flowing the heads and doing things like that may be in there, those will get in there. As cam cards, I get them the day before the challenge. All those will be dropped into that link that you already have. So that's there. And also the small block Chevy one. If you notice, I used that was my small block Chevy for my S10. It's got the Torque Storm on it because let me back up. My brain works crazy, so I know you hate when I jump around. Back to the Ford. That Cam Challenge will be a solid roller. It's going to go between 5,000 and 7,500 RPM. It's going to be still pump gas, like 11.5 to 1. We're hoping for somewhere around there. The heads are still to be determined, and we're trying to do a 408. We maybe use the mule that I have here. Since I'm going to Arkadelphia, you can put in the comments where you guess where I'm going to stop by to see if they've got heads, because that's kind of the ones I want to run. You might say, why not and by the way, those heads, in case you're wondering, those would be the Brodix Track 1 Raised Runner or the Headhunters, which I know some of you are like, oh, it's too expensive for the normal guy. I agree. but nothing's cheap. I wanted to kind of use a trick flow heads, but then I also figured one other problem with the Ford head. Hold on. I'm sorry I'm doing this to you while I'm talking, but this is a Ford head. Bear with me, I know you can see it. This is just a Pro Max. The huge problem with the Ford head, as far as, and it's not really a problem, but it's a problem for me. On a cam challenge, we're trying to switch as many camshafts as we can as possible. So on a small block Chevy, there's open spots, kind of even like this, right here, where a person could, in theory, reach down with a coat hanger, pull up the lifters, and get them out of the way. This is a Ford head, where, do you see what I mean? This, obviously that's the port, but this is the part where this was opened up, you could reach down with the coat hanger. The trick flow head I wanted to use is like this. The problem with the trick flow head, the 241, it also looks like it's out till January. So it's too far of a wait. I'm trying to have this challenge happen between February and March. And before the people that, and I thank you for all volunteering to send me in a set of heads, any of these cam challenges now have my heads on them, something I imported, for two reasons. One, this is a lot of work for me to get nothing out. I mean, I shouldn't say nothing. I get data, obviously, but it should at least go with my port work, because what I did for that Pro Max now is, you guys know, simply with the best cam to run with that Pro Max head on the 408 LS. But the other reason, probably the bigger one, is if I use just a shelf head, there are competitors that have more resources than others. So they can simply go buy that head and start just testing away. And that would not be fair to the ones that don't have as much resources to do that. So I'm porting them. I won't release any of the data that goes with that till later, which should affect their cam stuff. So back to the selling point of it, the reason why I want you to buy the donations for the dyno on the small block Ford or any of them is because of this. The more, just like the LS, the more donations we get, the more dyno time we get, the more cams that can be tested. So right now I've limited it to 10 plus 1 from someone else. So any of the competitors that competed in the last challenge, if they want to do the Ford one, 10 will be selected from them. And if there's more than 10, which it looks like there are, I'm going to draw one out of a hat and they'll be pulled, and those are the ones that get to compete. There's one more spot that's available to everybody else that I will at least do. And this is as of right now. And that one is, if I think you can email me, tell me why you want to do it. I'll put your name in a hat and I'll just draw a random name out. It kind of sucks because I know I'm going to give two people that wanted to enter. ZSR, which is probably my biggest customer. He wanted to enter, huge in Fords. And also Scott Main. And if you want to hear, and I know this makes the video longer, but whatever. Here's a story about Scott Main. Scott Main, I know him from Engine Masters, and he got like the worst luck. This is 2007, so this is a random story about Scott Main. He brought a Ford Cleaver, so Cleveland heads, and this is in 2007. They had to run flat tappet camshafts, and he actually had to run the first day. So I'm there watching, and I'm nervous as all get out, maybe my first year. But you have to make 3 back-to-back pulls for your warm-up. Then they shut you off for 20 minutes, and you have to make 3 back-to-back pulls again. His warm-up pulls, I mean, you could see that, and they showed the whole dyno numbers for us. So we actually are seeing the dyno as it's going through. You could do math in your head, you know, quite obviously, he's got it in the bag. He's going to win. I mean, even though it's first day, the numbers are phenomenal. And it's 4 days later, and like, he would have won. I think it was in the final competition pools, and it was so hard to watch because we were running flat tappets back then. He flattened the lobe on the second pool. So first pool on the competition one, because you had to average all 3, I think, back then. First one on the competition pool, a winner. Second one, off by 20. The next one, because you can't shut it off. They do not shut off the engine. It's still idling, and you make another pool. The third one was, I think it was actually, because I think we did an exhaust lobe, it had knocked it off, so that if you ever do that, it causes weird stuff to happen in the engine. But I think it actually caused the header to get really hot or something like that and glow red on that one pipe, but his score sucked because of it. He finished worse than I did, and he would have been in the money. So I would love to see him compete in the Ford Challenge too, but there's only, as it is now, from my own finances, even now, looking at this, it's costing me money to do this. And no, your YouTube video you're watching right now, thank you for watching it, does not pay for the dyno challenge. You're giving me 5 cents when you view it. 5 cents. And you can look and see how many views these videos are getting. They're not enough to to do this. So without donations, it can't happen. So I'm putting out of my pocket just to get the 10 plus 1 done. Others to get done, that's where the donations come from. And that's why it seems like I'm selling you this. Because I also want to see other Ford people compete. So the more money that we get through donations, the more one goes to winners and more that also goes for the challenge that pay the expenses. So like the LS one, just to give you an idea, I was only going to test 10 because I knew I could get that done in about a day or two. Turns out we could get them done in 1 day. But because people donated more money, we bought 4 days worth of time, and then the money got split. 50% went to the winner and 50% went to me. That's why Bobby ended up walking away about $5,000. Actually, it was $5,000 exactly plus the gift card. So yeah, it was good. So, but without that, it is what it is. So please donate to that. Now, to the small block Chevy one that you'll see there, that one challenge is different. It's a little bit different in this fact. It won't take place at Dunsworth machine. I don't want to pressure them that much. But this one will have a power adder on it. It's going to have a centrifugal supercharger. And the way that one will work is you're scored in 3 ways. Well, 3 times. We will have an NA run with your engine. And it's going to be a 406 small block Chevy. I'm supplying the heads. I already know what heads I'm doing for that. My Dragon Slayer is going to tell you. But I am doing something different with the intake so people can't figure out what's going on. But it'll be NA, and it's also solid roller. NA, and then we're going to put the supercharger on it. Well, it'll already be on it, but we'll run about 5 pounds of boost, whatever pulley that is. And then we're going to go to one that makes between 10 and 15 pounds of boost, and that will be that next pulley. And those same pulleys will be used for everybody's cams. You're scored by all 3 of them. So how you did on the 15, 10, and 0 boost, all those together make your score, and those people compete. Right now, I'm only going to allow 10 plus 1 again because of financing, and it might even be maybe less. This one's going to take place in May and July, and the reason why I say maybe less is because this is going to end up costing quite a bit because I'm trying to have a different location. I haven't narrowed that down. I know people said Bob's. Bob has to work quite a bit up at where Old Man's Garage is. I haven't asked him one. I know it's very hard for him because he's very busy with Bill stuff, obviously. Steve Morris, I would like to, but same thing. He's busy with customer stuff. The horsepower TV guys, that wouldn't be a bad idea, but I haven't even reached out to that. So that's way down the line. And then the last thing that brings up would be the big block Chevy. Now, the big block Chevy one, I don't even remember what I put for a target for when that would happen because that's going to be the 3rd one out. So it's so far I'm not trying to worry too much about it. That's just an NA, bad to the bone deal. It's either going to be a 632 or 582, and we're going to turn it up. And it's going to have either I've got a set of DN9s. It's either going to have those or it's going to have a set of AFR 18-degree heads. They're Magnum ones because they're kind of working with me on that deal, and I don't mind trying something different with that. But anyway, we're going to probably be a tunnel ram and 2 carburetors. And no, it's not affordable. Does not look like a lot of what you'd be doing. But I would say if you put a single 4 on it, it would probably look like a lot of bracket racer guys out there. And that one's just for fun. Because I'm hoping with that one, because the engine will make so much power, we'll see bigger differences between the cam guys instead of like small ones. Even though the LS had, most people were close in the center, but the winner and then the last ones weren't. Anyway, that's what those donations pay for. So I know it seemed long-winded, but I want to get to it all. Now, to show you the technical part of this. So what had happened is I'm going to show you the intake that was used for this test, and you're going to see the dyno results. This is the intake. It's an LSX, LS3, and it's a dual plane by GM. The thing looks massive. As far as dual planes goes, it's huge. Now it does not have the divider cut out, so that's it. But it's gigantic intake for as far as dual planes go, at least for the ones I've seen. Now, typically what dual planes do is they make better low-end power than they do peak, and this is what you'll see in the dynos charts anyway. Some of you are like, well, you should have put it below 4,000. This engine's not really ever made to be a towing engine, so no need to pull it below that. But anyway, we didn't test it with the carburetor just sitting directly on here like that. I don't ever like to run without a spacer. So the first test that was done was just an open spacer. So 1-inch open, and that seems to be, anytime I've ever done a dual plane, I have tried different ones, which we'll see here in the video, and every time the open one beats it. The tapered stuff works great on single planes. For whatever reason, on the dual plane, it does not like it, which you will definitely see. But the 1-inch open, that was how it tested, and this is its run. And by the way, it has open headers at this point, and it sounds really good. But anyway, this is what it sounds like. These spacers are from Polymer Racing Products, and you can tell that they're dimpled. This is the first one. It's got like I don't know how to describe it, besides it's got a dual plane section. The other one is like almost like a 4-hole section. It's a little bit different. It's hard to describe, but you can tell one looks more like 4 cones coming into the one or the 2. The other one's the 2 come in and just separate it all by itself. But that's them. Okay, so now that you've kind of seen the spacers, you can get an idea of what we're talking about. Here's the part, and I'm going to show you the dyno runs here in a second to show you what I'm talking about. The oddest thing I'm going to say is when I want you to pay attention when you're looking at the charts, and a weird thing, the spacers, whether it be a 1-inch open or there's 2 dimpled spacers that were made for this, you'll notice that the only time the power really changed was in the lower RPM between 45 and 4. Above that, they pretty much tracked right along. So only the very low part of the run did it make any difference with the spacers. Any. I mean, the rest were like within 2 or 3. The lower ones, obviously, you could tell huge differences. So especially with the 1-inch spacer. So let me show you the results. So here's the dyno comparison. If you look, man, this makes a ton of torque down low. So with the 1-inch open spacer, it's almost like 560 foot-pounds of torque. It's insane, that open spacer. But look at the difference. These are just spacers. So if you look at peak powers, you'd be like, oh, they're not that far off, because really from, looks like 5,200 on, they're virtually identical. But the beginning, no way. That 1-inch open spacer is like 30 to 40 foot-pounds of torque better than the other one. Either of them. And if you look at the other 2, you can kind of see them there. They're virtually identical. They really didn't do much. Point being is, I think the 1-inch open spacer is pretty much a ticket, at least from what I've seen on a dual plane. Besides sometimes when you add the Dominator with it, then that one's really great. But that's a huge difference. It's strange it only happens in the lower RPMs, but still, 560 foot-pounds of torque at 4,000 RPMs, it's just nuts. It's fun, but also it killed, you could tell the dual plane just killed power. This engine before with the single plane, by the way, was making 647. Now it's down to about 600. So lost 47 horsepower, and you gained about 60 foot-pounds of torque at 4,000. So it's really just a trade. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you made it all the way through and watched the entire thing. I'd appreciate it if you did. Remember, I do not port cast iron heads. I'm no Superman. You guys take care. Oh, and please donate.